the numbers don't lie, first of all, right? But yeah, it can be intimidating. And I'm sure you've heard the perspective of start small, start on a field that you have confidence in that's not going to drastically change. Maybe when the farmer is able to go plant, able to make those other passes through the field.
Hello and welcome to Illinois Corn TV. I'm Haley Bickelhoff, Illinois Corn's Policy Communications Manager, and today I had the wonderful opportunity to talk with Clay Bess, who's the Operations Manager at the Precision Conservation Management, or PCM Group. And we really just dove into how farmers can be most profitable with nitrogen application, tillage passage, and what they're doing to be proactive to limit regulations on farmers in Illinois. Now let's go ahead and get right into that interview. Well, Clay, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Haley. Appreciate it.
Yes. Well, as we're going to start off this conservation conversation here, I want to just jump right into talking about nitrogen. So nitrogen is, a big expense to farmers, but it can also have a big reward. What's the most profitable amount of nitrogen application for corn that you've seen collected through your data?
Yeah, our data really backs up the maximum return to nitrogen, the MRTN rate, which is a University of Illinois recommendation. Even this past year, it was 131 to 158, that rate, which is really conservative in a lot of farmers' minds because they're not comfortable using that rate. But the data does back it up that becomes the most profitable range. And over our entire data set, 151 to 175, that's been our most profitable corn farmers.
And you said University of Illinois, but where can farmers find this if they're interested in learning more?
That we show our farmers within our reports that we deliver to them annually. It's also connected through the Iowa State website, and they have different states on there that you can click on your state, put in the price of nitrogen, the price of grain, and that's going to spit out an MRTN rate that the farmer should be using.
So now we've talked about nitrogen. Let's move on to tillage. So PCM, that's a big topic for you. What does your data say is the most profitable tillage method?
Yeah, our data over the years really likes a sweet spot right in the middle of a one-pass light system, a two-pass light, two-pass medium, and to be within those ranges for light, I'm talking about a vertical tillage pass, a soil finisher pass, a cultivator trip to the field, maybe making two of those for that two-pass light. So that sweet spot there is what our data really likes. Definitely nothing more than that. No three passes or more of that for the tillage. What else we do with our data set is we'll pull out the 25% of the most profitable fields in our data set. And what that data really likes is no till for soybeans and one pass light for corn. That's where our most profitable corn and bean farmers are for tillage.
Gotcha. Well, before we jump into our joke, because I want to make sure we get to that, what would you say to a farmer that maybe this is intimidating to them? Maybe they've always tilled their ground with multiple passes. How can they begin to implement, or why would you encourage them to begin to implement this?
The numbers don't lie, first of all, right? But yeah, it can be intimidating. And I'm sure you've heard the perspective of start small, start on a field that you have confidence in that's not going to drastically change. Maybe when the farmer is able to go plant, able to make those other passes through the field. So if we can work that system into their operation that way, starting small, starting on one field, half a field even, then they're going to get more confident in it. Hopefully their profits are going to rise. And we've had some farmers that have just sold off their tillage equipment because they don't need it anymore. So that's obviously going to help the bottom line as well.
Yeah, wow, that's a really cool story.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to go ahead and go into our joke. So our joke here today, in our not to be corny section, is what do you call a corn farmer who applies nitrogen by guesswork?
I have no idea.
Erratic.
Erratic. I like that.
Yeah, a little corny joke.
Can we have the specialist introduce their conversation about nitrogen with that joke?
I think that's great. Yeah, let's put it to the top of their bullet point list.
I like it.
Me too. Well, okay, we'll go ahead and continue our conversation. But why is PCM and why are our specialists at PCM such a value to our farmers?
That's a good question and something we really pride ourselves on because we just had a team meeting where we're talking about all these different programs that we are now able to connect farmers to, and there's a ton out there. And for farmers who are already busy doing more than they ever have within their own operation, to now, one, have these opportunities out there that they need to be connected to, which is what a specialist job is. But also, two, it's really important for them to get involved in those programs and opportunities now, because that's just the way things are going, of the money coming through, them taking advantage of it. Obviously, our big goal is to avoid regulation altogether. That's our job. That's obviously the farmer's job. So for everybody to be involved and the specialists to help the farmer through these different scenarios, that's probably the biggest piece of value that we can provide.
Let's take a break for Just the Facts with Jim, brought to you by PCM. Did you know Illinois ranked number 2 in corn production? We're ranked 5th in the nation in overall ag production, and Illinois has 26 million acres of farmland. This has been Just the Facts with Jim. Now back to the show.
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned the avoiding regulations altogether. Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Yeah, there's the nutrient loss reduction strategy within Illinois, and that's really where we got started. And the program was submitted in 2015. We started in 2016. We've been collecting data ever since then. And with what was in that NLRS plan, it was going to take time. It's going to take a huge effort to meet those goals, to implement those practices. Otherwise, farmers are at risk of being told how to farm. And that's a very scary world to live in. We know of other states that are being mandated for when they can spray, what they can spray. So to think about that is scary enough for us to know that we've got to do something. We've got to be able there. We need to be there to help the farmer navigate this entire space. So yeah, it's what started us. Yeah, we're not afraid. We're not scared of it, but we know that farmers kind of need some assistance in navigating those programs and these practices.
Yeah. So you're there as a helping hand and trying to prevent these regulations from getting in place, it sounds like. You also mentioned some of the data that you've been talking about. And I know, back in June, you released some data. Was there any other information that was really pertinent to that release that you'd like to share?
I think we've hit on the big things. Yeah, and that came out in the Prairie Farmer in June. You can access it on our website. It comes from 9 years worth of data, just shy of 500 farmers, which is what we have in the state of Illinois for PCM. And we're now implementing that. All that data we have in that is high SPR, soil productivity rating. So the fields are much more profitable than our low SPR fields, but we do now have low SPR data. We've been building our data set in a few other regions, so we're now confident that we can really represent every farmer across the state. And what we can do with that data is, for example, when Illinois Corn goes out to DC and they're lobbying for our farmers and saying they're doing a good job, they're doing all they can, with this data we can now show if no-till isn't making as much money as a pass or two of tillage, if cover crops aren't making as much money as no cover crops are, then that method becomes, the farmers need more money to make up that ground in order for them to implement that practice, because that is maybe the major factor of them not doing it is the return on investment.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, Clay, if there's anything else you want to add today, but I think that really covers a lot of what we had talked about, and we're really thankful for all of our PCM specialists and all that you guys are specialists, and just the organization and all you guys are doing to encourage our farmers.
Appreciate that. And I will say, we pay farmers to join, so it's very easy to join, reaching out to a specialist on the website, calling the Illinois Corn office, or getting in touch with the local soil and water office. We pay farmers $750 over the first 2 years of them joining the program. And from there, it's been very nice to be working with all of our growers and seeing the changes and improvements they're making.
Perfect. Yeah. So if you have any questions about PCM, please reach out to the PCM team or the Illinois Corn team, and we'd love to get you connected there. Thank you, Clay, so much. It's been great talking with you today.
Thank you, Haley. Same to you.
Well, this has been another episode of Illinois Corn TV. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you next week.